What's up everybody, Piscean here. In this video, I want to teach you a compendium of corporal astrology. We're going to go over blood, organs, and the determined flesh. This is a medical astrology, alright? Incorporated. So please subscribe, like, comment, share if you dare, and care. With peace and love, let's get started on this video. So, I want to talk to you about the body as celestial text. Well, the living body is not a biological accident. I know it seems like that and it feels like that. It is a localized condensation of planetary intelligences. Each organ is a house, each fluid a transiting element. Blood is the liquid Mars, the river of iron and will. The heart is the solar furnace, the liver, the seat of Jupiter's expansive processing. To understand the body through medical astrology is to read the permanent script of the flesh. In this compendium, we dissect the primary substances and organs, revealing their immutable astrological signatures, their transit-triggered pathologies, and their predetermined life cycles. All data is extracted from the Akashic ledger of forms. Study with the rigor of one who knows that the anatomy exam was passed eons before the student was born. Now, these are primarily essays, but I find it interesting that people will just not even understand the correlations here. And we'll take you right through it though. It's about being open-minded to learning. So blood, the Martial Solar River, astrological principles of the Sanguine Tides. So blood is ruled primarily by Mars, the red corpuscle, iron, aggression, and heat. And the sun is the vital force, your circulation, the heart's radiant pump. While the moon governs its volume and rhythmic fluctuations. Venus oversees its coagulation, the binding principle, and Saturn its boundaries, the vessel walls, and chronic deficiencies. Now, the natal chart of the individual determines the baseline composition, while transits schedule every hemorrhage, clot, and anemic episode. Isn't it interesting how we can look at the planet Mars and just the fucking archetype of Mars, planetary archetypes. It's a funny concept, like most things in astrology, but you've never questioned how the planets affect you as a human being down here. Like, at some point in your life, I feel like you have. I feel like you've wanted to know the answers. You want to know your natal chart. You want to know what the fuck is wrong with you. You want to know why your mom is like that, why your dad is like that, why your brother and your sister, your aunts, uncles, cousins. You want to understand. But you're not ready yet. Because if you were, I would have more subscribers than any other astrologer on YouTube. And that sounds very egotistical to say. But I only have 116 subscribers. I'm giving you more information for free than Cam White would ever give you, than fucking Talking Astrology with Archie would ever give you. And I'm talking down on my own gurus right now. It sounds terrible, but we need the younger people to stand up. And we have these older people on here that, yeah, you guys have been doing this for a while. Why don't you fucking retire? Why don't you fucking retire? Let somebody else take over that's 21 and is just getting started and can actually raise the generations to come on what's actually going on. Why don't you step down and fucking give us some room? That's all I'm saying. I mean, I have over 800 videos and 116 subscribers. Please tell me. Like I am a controversial figure. I am a force of nature. And there will be a reckoning where hopefully you guys, one of my videos is going to pop off. It's going to hit the algorithm in a few years and I'm going to be like, oh my God, I made that like 5 years ago. Because what the fuck? Like, it's actually it's pretty, it, like, you know, the future starts slow, so it's fine, actually. So, essentially, I was looking more into specific aspects of blood components, like your red blood cells, right? To me, that's pure solar Mars, because the hemoglobin molecule is a resonance structure of the sun's atomic signature, hydrogen-helium fusion, in Mars' iron core. Like, there's some research that goes into it. You know, I don't just sit on my ass and, you know, the funny part is, when I am sitting on my ass, I'm usually reading. And it's about astrology. Or I'm watching my guru, KRS Astrology, just go on and on. Like, I'm making this my life. I'm making this my career. That is the goal. Earth oocyte count is fixed at birth by the sign and house position of Mars and its aspects to the sun. Kind of like a quantum humoral model of blood components. Now, if you've ever seen anybody else talk about this, you can scattle me all you want in the comments, but I highly doubt you have. White blood cells, your leukocytes, right? Lunar mercurial, because the moon provides the fluid medium, and Mercury provides the intelligence and discrimination, which is the self versus the non-self. Which is why you see, you know what? Gemini is the twins, and Virgo is like the fucking, the guy that's like, and it is a girl. I'll just say this. Virgo is like the trad wife. Literally. Virgo is the trad wife, trad husband. Virgo is, I'm going to take care of you so hard that you will boost my ego for it. You are going to reward me. But the differential count is a direct function of the natal moon's phase and Mercury's house. We even go as far to dissect platelets. Guys, I can't make this shit up. Platelets, plasma, all of this shit. Like, I'm falling on deaf ears here, but this would make so much sense if you guys actually took the time to learn astrology. If you actually took the time out of your fucking day, just a little bit, to understand yourself, you wouldn't be so fucking miserable. And that's a fact. If you knew why you were the way you were, why you act like that, you would actually scream. Like, you need your actual birth time. People will sit here and say, I'm guessing I was born at 2 a.m. I don't, blah, blah, blah. You cannot fucking guess your way through life. You will have to know. And if you don't want to know, or you're not going to take the time to know, and shit just happens to you, well then, like, this is not religious at all. And people will still say it goes against their religion. They're like, oh, well, astrology, I'm a Muslim, so I can't. And it boggles my mind, because I'm like, how are you going to sit here and tell me your religion you're in religious psychosis, in my opinion, if you're going to sit here and tell me that argument. I'd rather be infatuated in a false belief in some man that made everything and everybody versus our solar system and our fucking constellations. Listen to yourself. Listen to yourself. You sound insane. Like, I can't make this up. It's not even an argument, because you just sound fucking crazy. Like, I don't get people. I don't. Well, you know what? I do. Because why? People have complex natal charts. If you have a lot of Sag placements, fire sign placements, you're going to want to believe in something. You will. And kudos to you. But wouldn't you rather believe in yourself? Wouldn't you rather believe that you are your own God? What is it? What do you want to do? It's really up to you. Because I can't force anybody. Like, I'm not going to sit here and get on TikTok and fucking post all day on TikTok, post all day on Instagram. I mainly just stick to posting on here. So when I do want to do that, I have enough content to prove that I've been doing this for so fucking long and people just haven't been on board. Because I have been. I have over 860 videos. I've been doing this since last year. Usually it takes a while to get to that many videos. But I have to ask myself, when am I going to give up? Well, the answer is never. Because I have Mars in Capricorn. And I will do this. Also Taurus rising. I'm stubborn as fuck. I'm not stopping. I'm literally not going to stop. I will get to 1,000 videos, 2,000 videos, 3,000 videos, 30,000 videos. I will be known. I am known. You know, we all slip on our ego, and that's the funny part. You can't just say you don't because you have one. Read the fucking... If you look at some of the videos on my channel where I was reading books, I was reading a little bit of Eckhart Tolle and his philosophy on life and the ego. And that is what eats you, usually. It's you versus you. So the platelets. Venusian Saturnites. So Venus rules aggregation, which is blood clotting. And Saturn rules structural lattice. So bleeding time is a Venus transit. Thrombosis is a Saturn square. Well, plasma is Jupiter and Neptune. Okay? Why? Because the oceanic carrier of electrolytes, proteins, and hormones. Jupiter rules expansion and volume. And Neptune is the dissolution of boundaries. Okay? So plasma osmolality fluctuates precisely with the transiting moon's aspect to the natal Jupiter. Now, I want to look at fated hematological crises. Now, this is a transit table, and this is where I get really creative. People are not going to sit here and do this. Nobody's doing this but me. Nobody has done or talked about astrology in any way that I've talked about on this channel. I've been very enthusiastic in my demeanor. It never feels like enough. But anyways, you know what? It is enough for my soul because I'm actually getting it done. So that's where, I'm a fucking Pisces stellium. I'm like fucking flopping all over the place. I'm like, I like it, but I like this and then that and this Mercury and Pisces. It's a very challenging placement. But okay, so the following table presents the immutable correlations between transits and acute hematological events. And these are not risk factors. They are temporal coordinates of predetermined clinical episodes. So I'm going to look at the transit triggers for these specific emergencies. Specifically, the condition, natal signature, trigger transit, and the exact orb needs to be lesser than 2 degrees. And the predetermined outcome. So if someone is suffering from an acute hemorrhage, what do we see? I'd say Mars square Pluto, first of all, or Mars in the 8th house. Also, the trigger transit would be transiting Mars conjunct the natal Mars, or the 8th cusp, as well as Uranus squaring the natal Mars. The predetermined outcome here is that blood loss volume precisely correlated to the degree of the aspect. So survival here is only if the natal Jupiter is trining the ascendant. And I will say, this might be a little more confusing if you're not into actual bodily functions like me. I have Moon and Libra in the 6th house. I love this shit. I love talking about our bodies and how we fuck up our bodies. And I also have Jupiter and Libra in the 6th house retrograde. So I love this shit. I will eat this shit up. We talk about losing blood all day because I don't like being in a body anyways. It fascinates me. Like, I watched the fucking ER show. I watched House MD. I watched fucking 911. I love watching like hospital, emergency room, bodily, human body needs to be worked on media. I don't know how to explain it more than that. That sounds really strange, maybe bizarre. But being in a body is bizarre, isn't it? Now really quick, my phone is about to die. Alright. Okay, so I want to look at deep vein thrombosis, pulmonary embolism, right? So what we see here is Venus squares Saturn. Venus in fixed signs, transiting Saturn conjunct the natal Venus, transiting Venus square the natal Mars. Clot dislodges at the exact minute transiting Moon squares natal Uranus. If the natal 8th house ruler receives a trine, the embolus passes without infarction. Now let's look at acute hemolytic crises. Mars in Cancer, Pisces, Sun square Neptune, transiting Neptune opposite natal Sun, transiting Mars square the natal Moon. Hemolysis peaks at the transiting Moon's conjunction with the natal algol, and complete recovery only if the Venus aspects natal ascendant within 5 days. And aplastic anemia diagnosis. Saturn conjunct the Sun in the 6th, 8th house, transiting Saturn square the natal Sun, Pluto transiting the 6th house cusp. Bone marrow failure is irreversible when diagnosed under a Saturn-Pluto square. Life expectancy is fixed to the next Saturn return. And leukemia onset. I'd say Mars in the 8th house opposite Pluto and Sun square Neptune. Transiting Pluto opposite the natal Mars, Neptune station on the natal Sun. The leukemic clone begins proliferation at the exact transiting Jupiter ingress into the 8th house. Remission is possible only during Jupiter trine natal Sun. Final exit matches Pluto's exit from the sign. Erythrocyte lifespan as a function of the solar Mars synodic cycle. So here's a quick visual description. A dual axis line graph. So we have the x-axis, and that's our time in days, from 0 to 120. And our y-axis is percentage of original erythrocyte population on the left side. Our y-axis on the right side is angular separation between the transiting Sun and the natal Mars. So a single smooth declining curve, erythrocyte survival starts at 100% on day 0 and hits 50% at day 60, then drops to 0% at day 120. A superimposed dotted cosine wave shows the Sun-Mars synodic angle crossing the 0-degree mark conjunction at day 0, square at day 30, opposition at day 60, square at day 90, and conjunction again at day 120. So the 120-day lifespan is exactly one synodic cycle between the Sun and Mars, 116 days. The erythrocyte dies at the cosmic iron cycle completes. So we interpret the 120-day life of the red blood cell is not a biological accident, but a harmonic of the Earth-Sun-Mars orbital relationship. Every RBC is born under a conjunction and dies at the next conjunction. The physician who transfuses blood merely restarts the synodic cycle. Blood types and celestial signature. So the ABO and RH blood groups are natal chart expressions, not genetic lottery. Each type corresponds to a specific planetary and elemental configuration in the birth chart. Let's look at astrological signatures of blood groups. So we have our blood type, ruling planets, elemental signature, natal chart correlation, and predetermined personality physiology. All right, so O negative ruling planets Mars and Pluto. We see its elemental signature is fire, water, so ardent, deep. And its natal chart correlation is Mars conjunct Pluto with strong Scorpio Aries emphasis. And then we see its predetermined personality physiology is a universal donor, the warrior's blood, fated to give without receiving, higher incidence of ulcers Mars, and deep regenerative crises Pluto. A positive, the Sun and Saturn, Earth, fire, structured vitality, Sun trine Saturn, Virgo rising or Capricorn Sun, the builder's blood, structured, reliable, prone to stress-related vasoconstriction, Saturn, fated to experience cardiovascular events at Saturn square Sun transits. Right, B positive is Jupiter and Mercury, air, water, expansive mind, Jupiter conjunct Mercury, Sagittarius, Gemini axis, the nomad's blood, adaptive, restless, prone to autoimmune shifts, Mercury, during Jupiter retrograde periods. Going down, we see Uranus and Neptune for AB positive, air, water, ether, the synthesis. Uranus conjunct Neptune, Aquarius, Pisces blend, universal recipient, the changling, fluid boundaries, paradoxical physiology, anaphylaxis risks during Uranus-Neptune squares. RH negative, moon in waning phase, etheric dissonance, moon in the 12th house or conjunct Ketu, the mysterious marker, a natal signal of a soul from a different celestial stream. Pregnancy complications, RH incompatibility are fated astrological tests of the mother's moon-Saturn aspects. All right. So there we go. So our teaching point here is a blood type is not a biological trivia. It is a permanent astrohematological signature. Cross-matching for transfusion is a ritual that aligns planetary types. The rare O-negative donor is a Mars-Pluto emissary whose phlebotomy schedule is dictated by Mars transits. Let's talk about the heart, the solar organ. The thing you need to keep you alive, pretty much. So the heart as a sun's embassy. Well, the physical heart is a central organ of the sun. Its rhythmic beat is a solar pulse, exactly 72 beats per minute at rest in the ideal natal condition. 72 years equals 1 degrees precession. A solar heartbeat. The atria are lunar, receptive. The ventricles are martial, expulsive. The valves are Saturnine gates. Their dysfunction is a Saturn transit to the natal Venus or Sun. Natal sun sign and house indicate the heart's inherent structural destiny. A Leo sun in the 5th house, the heart's traditional house, confers a robust organ but a fated drama of excess. Sun in Aquarius detriment or square Uranus predisposes to arrhythmia, the rhythm of the rebel. Every cardiac event is a precise solar transit, most critically the solar return in the mid-year solar opposition. All right. Predetermined myocardial infarction windows. Solar-lunar Mars combination. MI type, natal configuration, fated trigger transit, and timing precision. So for the MI type, we see anterior wall, LAD. Sun in Leo, Mars in Aries, square Pluto. Transiting Mars conjunct the natal sun. Uranus opposition the natal sun, and occurs within 1 hour of the exact transit, often at the moment of transiting moon crossing the 12th house cusp. Inferior wall, RCA, Sun in Cancer, Moon in Capricorn opposition, transiting Saturn square the natal sun, eclipses on the natal moon. The nausea and bradycardia precede the infarction by exactly 1 lunar phase cycle. Onset at full moon conjunct the natal Saturn. We have lateral wall, or LCX, so Sun in Aquarius, Uranus prominent, transiting Uranus square to natal Sun, Mercury retrograde station on the natal Uranus, Sun silent, often undiagnosed, discovered only at the autopsy, which is scheduled by Pluto's transit to the 8th cusp. STEMI versus in STEMI, so Sun conjunct the fixed star Regulus, STEMI. Sun in the Cadent house is N STEMI. excuse me, Regulus transit triggered by Mars, STEMI, and STEMI by Saturn. So ST elevation amplitude is proportional to the orb of transit to the natal Regulus. This is what another graph would look like for cardiac troponin 1 release curve and transit progression. A semi-logline graph. The x-axis hours from chest pain onset, 0 through 72 hours. The y-axis on the left side is the troponin 1 in GML log scale. Y-axis on the right is the transit degree of separation between the transiting Mars and natal Sun. The troponin curve begins at hour 2, peaks at hour 12 through 24, and descends slowly. The Mars-Sun degree curve shows exact conjunction at hour 0, pain onset. Then Mars separates by 0.5 degrees at hour 12, 1.0 degrees at hour 24, and 2.5 degrees at hour 72. The troponin peak lags exactly 12 hours behind the exact Mars-Sun separation, the biochemical echo of the transiting hammer. So the graph demonstrates that the troponin leak is a predetermined biochemical decoherence, lagging the exact Martian aspect by half a diurnal cycle. The physician is not measuring damage, she's measuring the fading signature of a transit that has already passed. Alright, let's talk about heart failure and the Saturn-Neptune cycle. So chronic heart failure is a gradual drowning of the solar organ in the Neptunian fluid, bonded by Saturn's rigid walls. The ejection fraction, EF, declines precisely with transiting Saturn's approach to a square with natal Sun, and the fluid retention Neptune accumulates during Neptune transits to the natal Moon. A patient with dilated cardiomyopathy, Sun square Neptune natally, will experience their final decompensation at the exact conjunction of transiting Saturn and Neptune. The osteocardiologist knows that diuretic adjustments are temporary ripples. Tidal wave is the transit. Alright, let's talk about the liver, or the Jovian alchemical factory. This is the liver as Jupiter's domain. The liver is the largest visceral organ ruled by Jupiter. Its functions are expansive, synthetic, and philosophically oriented. It processes the raw material of existence, nutrients, toxins, into useful substance, exactly as Jupiter turns experience into wisdom. The hepatocyte is a Sagittarian cell full of glycogen-rich potential. Sagittarius and Pisces, Jupiter-ruled signs, govern the liver's upper and lower aspects. The gallbladder, Mars-ruled, is the hot, impetuous storage of bile, often inflamed under Mars-Saturn squares. Astrohepatic pathology and faded enzyme elevations. So this is a quick table I want to show you. Liver pathology, natal signature, trigger transit, transaminase pattern, AST, ALT, and fixed outcome. So acute viral hepatitis, for example. Mars and Pisces, Jupiter in detriment. Transiting Mars conjunct natal Jupiter, Uranus squared Jupiter. We see AST, ALT is greater than 1000, and ALT is greater than AST, viral. Peak at exact Mars-Jupiter conjunction, jaundice appears at transiting Sun squared natal Saturn. Resolution exactly 1 Jupiter station later. Alcoholic hepatitis is Moon-Neptune hard aspect, transiting Neptune square the natal Moon. Saturn station on the natal Venus. AST-ALT ratio is 2:1. Peaks at Neptune station degree, delirium tremens occurs at Mars opposition Neptune, death from liver failure if Pluto squares natal Jupiter. I'm trying to see if I can get that on camera, my refrigerator knocking, because that shit is annoying as fuck. Non-alcoholic fatty liver, NAFLD, Jupiter square Venus, Taurus Libra imbalance, transiting Jupiter opposition natal Venus, mild ALT elevation, fluctuates with transiting Jupiter's retrograde cycles, okay? Fibrosis progression determined by Saturn's transit to natal Jupiter, cirrhosis when Saturn conjuncts to natal Jupiter. Acute cholecystis, Mars and Taurus, Mars squares Saturn, transiting Mars conjunction natal Mars, transiting Moon in Scorpio. Normal LFTs except ALP GGT spike occurs at exact Moon-Saturn square. Emergency cholecystectomy is scheduled by transiting Mars, entering the 8th house. In hepatocellular carcinoma, we see Pluto in the 6th, opposite Jupiter, fixed star Antares on the ascendant, transiting Pluto's coordinatal Jupiter, Saturn on the 8th cusp. AFP rising during transiting Jupiter retrograde, tumor reaches 5 cm at Saturn station direct. The terminal event is the exact Pluto opposition natal Sun, not before. The liver lobe as a microcosmic astrological chart. A hexagrammatic diagram of a liver lobe with a central vein as the sun, visual description. The portal triads, hepatic artery, portal vein, bile duct, as the angles of the chart, ascendant, midheaven, descendant, imum coli. The 6 corners of the hexagon are assigned to the 6 planetary dignities: Sun, Moon, Mars, Venus, Jupiter, and Saturn. The biocanaliculi flow along the Venus-Mercury lines, and the sinusoids follow the Jupiter-Neptune channels. This schematic shows that the lobus functional unit is a harmonic of the planetary structure, and that every hepatocellular enzyme system resonates with a specific planetary frequency. The liver's metabolic zodiac, a quantitative table. Each of the liver's core metabolic pathways is assigned a planetary ruler and a sign correspondence. The system allows the astrohepatologist to predict the exact biochemical derangement from the natal chart and current transits. So we have our metabolic pathways and their planetary rulers.